This is Stephanie from Spintress Station on YouTube. I mainly do my blog updates here, and I also sometimes do some how-to videos on spinning. But my main hobbies are quilting, knitting, spinning, and cooking. And so here you'll see some of the fiber crafts that I like to work on. Thanks for watching, or if you're new to this channel, feel free to stick around and check it out. And any likes or subscriptions would be a great help to me and this channel. And I hope everybody has been doing well. It's been a little longer than a month since my last update. Just things have been super busy, and we're already into April. So technically this is March's update with a little bit of April in it. I know that next month I'll also be posting a little later because I'll be traveling at the very end of the month into the next month, and so that's kind of exciting because I'll be going back east to visit family and even to hit a yarn and wool festival. So I'm hoping to get some filming done there just to show you guys around and kind of just have fun doing that. So without further ado, let's go on to my finished projects. Alright, so for my finished projects, I finally have completed one of my projects that I've been working on for a very long time. For many episodes, you guys have seen the Nakia Infinity Scarf by Jeff Giles. Continually been working on that, and so now it is officially finished, blocked, sewn together, and then I even added in some woven in details that I was still debating if I wanted to actually put into the scarf or not, but I actually do enjoy it. It just adds a little pop of texture to it. And so here, I don't know if I can get the whole thing in the image, but here is the whole entire infinity scarf in all its large glory. So it has the loop in it right here, as you can see, which makes it the twist in it, in the loop, that makes it the infinity scarf. And so starting off with the different yarns, the first yarn right here is the Noro Silk Garden. Then it went on to the Hoja, which is this tiny little piece right here. This is the Hoja. And then it worked into Madeline Tosh Light fingering. This is the Plaid Blanket yarn here. And then Moorland, also a Madeline Tosh Light fingering, is right here. And once more, using up the last of my Noro Silk Garden yarn. And the last yarn in this is the Borrego Millefiori Light here. So I had to originally increase the length of this whole entire project just because it wasn't creating the length that it originally called for. So I added in a larger end using up the Hoja, having some nice fun little details that I originally didn't get in the beginning because I didn't understand the directions quite well. And then I also used up the last of the Moorland with a lovely lace pattern here. And so it's just really fun and big. I'm contemplating if I want to take this back east because it is going to be a little cooler when I go back east. It's going to be at the end of this month. And so this might be fun to wear at a wool festival, but I can loop it over my head a couple times. Let me see if I can get this on. It's just fun and thick, and you can even put it on your head like this if you want to, whatever you want to do with it. But it's so fun and thick and just has a really nice drape and warmth to it. Unfortunately, I live in the Southwest, so it's gone from 2 super cold days where I had to turn the heater on to all of a sudden we're just back into the 100s again. It's ridiculous how fast temperatures change here. So this is the finished project. Very happy with it. Glad I finally got this off of my to-do list. It's been sitting on my queue in Ravelry for over 4 years now, and so it is done. And I can take this off. All right, so that aside, The second finished project that I have are the Wyatts socks, which is done by Crazy Sock Lady Designs. And I also had a little bit of a journey with these socks. They're still on the blockers, but they're completely dry. So I actually spun the yarn that I used for these socks. It was from a 100% Cheviot Roving called Christmas Wreath is the colorway. And I just decided to, I didn't split it down the middle or anything. I just decided to spin from one end to the other. So you can see that, you know, it's the same colorway, but there's definitely more red, at least at the beginning when I started working, than on the end, which is a little sad. So I'll definitely probably think about how I want to split up my rovings next time for if I want to spin for a sock. But still, they're fun. They go together. And originally I had started off knitting this on, I think, a size 1 needle, and I cast it on, I think, 62 stitches, and I ended up knitting the whole entire sock and just finding that it was just too big than what I traditionally knit with. You know, I cast it on the same stitches, use the same size needle with like more traditional sock yarn, and it just still came out over an inch too big on the foot, like at least 1.5 centimeters too large on the leg too. So I had to rip it all out, and instead I cast it on 54 stitches, I think, 52 or 54 stitches. And then I also reduced a few stitches in the bottom here where there isn't the pattern in the sock, because there's this fun little ridge pattern right here that you can kind of see, but then it's just a plain stockinette stitch on the back. This is also the first time that I attempted doing a Eye of Partridge heel. So that's kind of what it looks like. It's not a traditional slip stitch heel, but it is reinforced, which is super nice. So these do fit. And the fiber itself, like I can handle it on my feet. I don't think I would want to use 100% Cheviot for like anywhere where I have sensitive skin. Like in the neck or in the hat, because I think the fibers would poke me. But overall, it was just kind of a fun experience of spinning from roving, making a chain ply, and then knitting it up and finding that if you make a really high twist, sturdy chain ply, sometimes it affects your gauge and how it knits up, and then you have to think about how you want to change it up to make it fit your foot again. So never a dull moment with knitting with socks. So that's these done, and now we will go on to my current whips in progress. All right, so for whips in progress, there's one project I probably won't really address for a while. I was originally doing some socks for Sock Madness. I got past the balloons in the sock, but then when it came to the heel, I got absolutely confused on how she was doing the heel. So I'm waiting for some other friends at Knit Night to kind of go through the heel and maybe show me how to do it eventually. So those are put on a side station, so hopefully I'll eventually be able to finish those, but they're kind of just sitting in the corner somewhere right now until I know how to make the heel for that one, because it's not quite a German short row. She calls it a nerdy heel, and I couldn't really find a video on it. Maybe somebody will publish a video for it, but until that time I'm just gonna let it sit pretty in the corner. But another current project that I have going are some vanilla socks for my sister again. I went to a yarn tasting at my local yarn shop, and every single time that we do that, we tend to have like a little yarn raffle where they have all these other like full skein samples that they get from various suppliers and companies, and sometimes they decide not to carry it right off the bat, and so they'll do like a little raffle and they'll call your name and you can choose from all those skeins which ones you want. And so of course I chose sock yarn, because if you only get one skein, I want to be able to make something with it. And so the skein that I chose was a Borrego comfort sock, which is 50% fine nylon and 50% fine acrylic. So there's no wool content in this, so my sister would like to probably wear this on her feet. It doesn't feel like wool. And it kind of had a really fun striping pattern. It looks like a sunset kind of, which is nice. So I'm on the second sock right now, doing the gusset currently. So I've already finished the heel flap, I've turned the heel, and I'm now working on the decreases for the gusset. But this is kind of the fun pattern that it's creating. It's like a sunset in the southwest here. And then here is the first finished sock as well. So those are working up nicely, and it is super soft. I would suggest if you are sensitive to wool, this is a really nice, it's literally the comfort sock. That's what they call this yarn. So I would suggest that. It's pretty easy to knit with. It doesn't really split all too often, which is nice, because sometimes I find that with either plant fiber or anything that doesn't really have a lot of wool in it, that sometimes if you start knitting it and it's starting to undo the twist a little bit in the yarn, that it starts splitting the yarn. But other than that, pretty nice definition, and has some nice elasticity here too. So that is my knitting project that I have going. And then I also have, sorry, didn't mean to nudge the camera, some spinning projects. So recently I decided to buy a couple different rovings from Edgewoodgardenstudio again. She's a lovely seller on Etsy, and I've been always pretty satisfied with her products, and she always leaves such a nice little personal note on the receipts and stuff. And so this time I chose different colors, and she noticed it. And I'll try and post a picture of this original braid that I spun up, but I didn't take a lot of pictures or videos of filming myself when I was working on this roving. But here I've already finished doing a bobbin. It's this fun, almost kind of springtime / sunset mixture of yellows and pinks, and there's even a little bit of purple in there, and then beiges and things. So this is what a mixture of the colors look like. And of course I have spun it super fine. So I am going to do a 2-ply with this. It's still probably going to turn out to be a light lace, not like the thinnest lace that you've ever seen, but still a lace weight. And originally I was thinking of doing a 3-ply with it, but I kind of wanted to like get the most out of this. So this is 100% Merino, about 19 microns. It was a really nice roving to spin from, super thick, easy to draft, I would say. It was a little hard getting the bunches of roving apart as I was spinning it, but like once I was doing a short forward worsted draft on it, it was really nice to draft out. And so no complaints here, love the colors, and I can't wait to finish this off. At my local yarn shop, I got some roving to ply with it. It's just one solid color, and the colorway is orchid, but I thought it would be a nice purple to go along because there isn't a ton of purple in the original roving, but actually at the end over here on this part of the bobbin, there is literally kind of this purple right in here, and it's only kind of in 1 or 2 areas of this whole entire 4-ounce roving that I had. So I think it'll be like a nice contrast, but still have a little bit to blend in together. So I'm currently working on this piece right here, and this will be a 2-ply with this guy. And so I've been working on this after work, and you know, just watching TV because I have an electric wheel, so it's super easy to just set up in front of the TV. And as you can see, also, I apologize for the lighting. It is a little dark right now because I am filming after work. I've just not had any time on the weekend. So this is my current work in progress, and I'm working on the orchid right now. Let's see. So I think that's it for all my current projects. So now we will go on to acquisitions. Alright, so for acquisitions, I have a few additions to my stash, unfortunately, but also fortunately. So I usually go to a sock group knitting at least once a month, and sometimes the yarn shop puts certain sock yarns on sale. And I had been eyeing this colorway for a while, and so I finally caved in and got it. But it is the Uruguay del Manos del Uruguay yarn, Alegria, sorry. And so this is a sock yarn. Its colorway is the Colorado River, but it's got beautiful blues and nice kind of like salmon / rune colors. Let me flip it around here so you can see it here too. Hopefully you guys can see that. But this is 75% superwash, 25% nylon, and it has 445 yards per 100 grams. And so I'm thinking I'm just gonna do some vanilla socks with it, or I might just do a simple pattern. Nothing too fancy because there's so much, you know, different colors, speckles going on in here. So I don't want it to be too busy. So that's something for the future. And then, like I said earlier, where did I put it? I also had bought a second braid from the Edgewoodgardenstudio on Etsy. And so the second braid isn't merino, it is I think it's 75% of blue face Leicester. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. That's a little bit of a tongue twister for me. Blue face Leicestershire. There we go. Just finally, my mouth had to figure that out. Blue face Leicestershire sheep, and then there's also 25% silk in here. So it's like a little bit more of a luxury roving. This one is called Spring Flowers, and it's got purples and greens, some tan, and like some slight blues in there. And yeah, so this is also going to be next to Skin Soft, the Micron Bright Outlook one that I just showed you beforehand for my works in progress. That is a very fine merino, so that will be next to Skin Soft. I won't mind having it up here or on my head or around on my wrists or arms or anything. So I probably won't be using these for socks, just because it is something that I will want to be hand washing, and if it's super soft, I want to use it on other parts of my body that are a little bit more sensitive to rough or rustic yarns. But yeah, so I have this to spin up afterwards, and so we'll see how that goes and how I want to divvy this one up for spinning, but I'll let you know once I get to it. Sorry for the crinkling. All right. Another acquisition that I had is the Annie's Love to Knit Socks monthly kit. And so I finally picked it up from the mail today. It just came in this week. But basically I got their Christmas sock to do. So it's actually kind of a cute color work pattern. I actually think I will make these socks eventually. But yeah, it's cute little Christmas sock with trees and snow and things like that on it. And so here is the combination of yarn in this kit. and it's fingering weight. And we've got, of course, the green, red, and white. And so they're all of the same base. And so it's 75% superwash and 25% nylon. And it is by Rose Hill Yarns. And hopefully, I don't know if this is going to focus on it, but I'll have all the yarn information down in the description of the video below in case you want to check any of these yarns out. And seems like a very nice tight twist to it too, so I think it'll wear well. And this might be, if I do this sock anytime soon, this would probably be my first colorwork sock. I have done colorwork before in sweaters, but I've never done it in a sock, so that'll be a new experience, because sometimes when you're doing sock colorwork, you just have to be extra careful about leaving your floats loose enough so that it'll stretch to go around your legs and your foot, because if you're doing it in like a small tube, sometimes you just start increasing the tension on your yarns and your floats, and then it shrinks your tube up and you can't get it on your foot. So you just got to be careful with that. But yeah, so there's this pattern here. And then I did find the pattern to my last Annie's Love to Knit sock club that I originally could not find it to show you in my last update. But this was the last sock pattern that was sent my way, and the yarn on front is the yarn that I did receive and showed last time. But it's the Red Rock Sunset. And it's fun because it's got like a lot of purling going on the outside of this sock. So that'll be interesting. But it's got, you know, texture and stuff on the front of the sock, and then it's a basic purl in the back. It's going to be interesting to see how I like doing a lot of purling, I guess, in a sock. Unless they completely construct it a different way where I'm making it from the inside out and then I just flip it inside out when I'm done and finish it that way. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the construction method of it, but I'll keep this in my stash in case I ever want to try it. But it's kind of cute and fun. So there's that second pattern. And then there is the acquisition that I have been very excited about, and also slight reason for why I've been postponing filming this update is because I've been waiting for this. I ordered this yarn in December. There was a shop update in December where she was taking orders, and then she was going to dye to order. And because, you know, life happens and things like that, it just has been taking her a little longer to dye it up. But this is Big Little Yarn Company, and it's Mel is her name. I don't know if I think her full name might be Melissa. Don't quote me on that, but at least she goes by Mel, which I know. But originally she was a yarn dyer in LA, and then I believe her family had Japanese citizenship, so she moved her husband and herself back to Japan maybe a little bit before COVID hit, or there was like a break during the COVID period, and she moved there with her husband. And then she's been there for over a year now. She has a son now. He was born in Japan. She still has relatives here in the United States, so they've been able to finally visit, and, you know, they've been able to meet their grandson and everything. But aside from that, trying to explain too much of her life, she's fun. I think, what is her YouTube? Cozy Cardigans is her YouTube channel, and she tries to do it, I think, monthly. And so she'll show you what she's been dyeing, what she's been working on, knitting wise. And she also likes doing book updates. Like, she likes reading different books, and so she'll usually at the end of it do a book update in case you're interested in reading books and want to find something new to read. And so she's fun to do. But this yarn, ordered in December, it finally came last week, and luckily I went to the post office to pick it up because it required a signature from Japan. And that at the end of the day, if I had not come in that day, by the end of the day they would have sent it back to Japan, because I guess with expedited. With expedited shipped packages, they only hold it for 5 days. And my post office isn't open on the weekend, so I wasn't able to pick it up the other 2 days because I worked late and I worked over like an hour away from the post office. And so they closed at 5 and I couldn't pick it up. So luckily I got it. And these are some of the skeins that I got from her. So this first one is a SuriSilk, like lace weight. So it's kind of like mohair, but it's done with baby Suri alpaca, which is 75% of this. And then there's 25% silk in here. So it's like a little bit of a luxury. And this is only a 50-gram skein, but it has 460 yards of it. And I bought 3 of these. So this, let's see if you can see the variation in here. It's got browns and greens and whites. And there's even like a little bit of like dark bluish greens in here too. And I have 3 of these skeins, and the colorway is called Tanuki, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. So basically her whole entire update was based on her colorways for like the traditional, I don't know, traditional like Japanese monsters. So like very old monsters that you would see in folktales and folklore and things like that. And this was also just such a funny, but fun, like not funny, but like a fun little connection, because Tanuki, from what I read of its story, is basically it's the spirit of a farmer who has died, and he kind of haunts his rice field. Like his presence will be there, if I'm getting this right. And if the new farmer isn't up to par, isn't taking good care of the rice fields, is neglecting it, then he'll start haunting them, trying to like push them to either, improve their farming skills and like not neglecting the plot. Or if they don't, then in order to get away from the Tanuki, they have to move away, which is funny because I work in a crop science industry. And so I just thought it was fun that, there's like these spirits that watch over plots. And if you neglect them, they'll come and haunt you until you up your game or you move away. And I was just like, hey, that's kind of funny and fun. So this is something that I am going to be pairing with a yarn that I had processed from a fleece that I bought last year in Colorado at the Estes Wool Festival. And so it's going to be like fun and scrunchy. And at the end, when I show you my future projects, I will show you the sweater pattern that I bought specifically to use for this yarn, and for the yarn that I had processed. Actually, I think I'm gonna try and grab an example of the processed fleece yarn really quick just to put them together for the first time, because I was trying to base it off of what I was seeing on the screen for what she was, dyeing it to, and then also just holding the yarn in my hand as I was trying to buy these skeins. So I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
All right, so I am back. So here is a skein of the yarn that I got processed in not in Estes Park, the fleece that I bought in Estes Park, and then I got processed by Spinrella's wool mill in Utah. And so putting them together, I think they'll blend nicely. And like this is a Mort colored fleece. It's kind of all her beautiful colorways, it was just so hard to find something that would pair with this. But I think like bringing in the browns and then there's still being like that more color in this skein, I think they'll go well together, and this will add a little bit more depth to it. So those are going to be paired together for a sweater. And then I also bought a couple other things from her. I did a little bit of a splurge and I bought a few more skeins. So the next one is I kind of did a fade purchase from her with these 3 colorways. I don't know, the tag's in the middle of that one, like this. So these are made out of her Trusty sock base, and so it is 75% superwash and 25% nylon. And each of these are one of her other monster colorways. So there's the Abozu colorway. I'm not sure what those monsters are, but if you go to the Big Little Yarn Company and you look up her different collections, you'll be able to probably see each of these colorways and maybe read the little story about them. I know that she originally posted like the stories of these different monsters on Instagram that you could read through when she was first releasing this whole entire collection. Then the second one right here, this fun one, is Futakuchi Ono. And then this last skein is Kappa. It's a lovely green with speckles. And they're all just fun. So, sport weight, I could do a shawl with all three of these, or if I wanted to, I could do fun mismatched socks for all of these, just combining them all, or like, you know, using this for the main body and then these for the heels, toes, whatever I want to do with these. But I couldn't resist getting like a little small fade collection from her because her colorways are just so beautiful and earthy, and I just want to work with them. And I finally do get to work with them. So that was my most exciting purchase that I've been waiting for a little bit. And then I also got a few little tools to use for my knitting. So I always forget the name of this group. I don't know if it's actually SunriseGrove Knittery, but I will post the name of this place, this Etsy shop, up here. The owner does lovely little wooden rulers and stitch or row counters, wraps per inch for your spinning. She just has like a lot of fun little wooden tools for knitting or spinning. And so most recently they came in the mail today too. Sorry. But this is a row counter, and it's got this fun little oak and snail and morel mushroom on it, and you can kind of see in the middle here it's on zeros right now, but that's where you can count your rows, and you can turn these dials to change what rows you're going to be on. So there's two different dials. Let me see. So this one on this side, on my right side, will start you off with your 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and the other one will get you all the way up to 99 rows. So it will count 99 rows for you. But yeah, for the most part, I'm so used to whenever I do a row just marking it down on my paper. It's so nice to have something that it doesn't seem like it's going to slip easily, so I can, you know, count my rows, put it on, and it should usually stay like this in the bag for whatever I leave it on. I'll still make a little note as to what row I finished on, just in case it does get twisted a little bit. For the most part though, it feels pretty sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's just going to slip around and spin. But yeah, so it's a cute little snail and morels made out of wood. And then another thing that I have a gauge ruler already, but it's like a 4-inch gauge ruler. So I wanted something just a little bit smaller. So this is a 2-inch gauge ruler, so you can fit your fabric underneath there and count how many stitches are in your 2 inches by technically 2 inches, but here she does it in centimeters. And this one has a fun little old sail, ships with a kraken devouring them into the sea. So she's got these fun little patterns and designs that she puts on her little rulers, and they're all made from wood, and they're really nicely done, and this has a nice little hanger on it too. And so that's my 2 purchases recently for just tools to help me out. And then they even gave me a couple of wooden stitch markers to use, which I've never used wooden stitch markers. I've used some metal ones where I find that they like just fall out of things easily. So maybe I would use this on like a sweater or something, because hopefully it would stay in a little better. But they're also really not light, which is nice. But look at these fun little designs that they had on the stitch markers. And this was a free gift from her, which was super nice of her. So now I have these, and it'll be fun to use these little tools. And then the last, sorry, I'm talking a lot. The last acquisition that I have is a knitting bag, which I've been keeping the socks that I've been working for my sister. They've been kept in this bag. And so this is from Puff Stitch 1 on Etsy. And she does some really cute, nice bags. I really love her choice of fabrics. It's like a Tula Pink Owl. That's the pattern on front. And she does waxed canvas down at the bottom, which is nice. And on the inside, she does have one main pocket in there just to hold a few things to the side. And so like it's a decent size. Can easily keep my socks in here. Maybe like a small, like a hat project or like a small shawl. But it's not super big or any like super big, but it's not the smallest. But it fits nicely. It has drawstrings on the side. I usually like to tie these. I'm actually more of a zipper person myself. So if I have drawstrings, I like to tie them. And then it's got a nice little loop to hold it by here. But yeah, it was super cute. So this was from Etsy, and because there was a lack of project bags in my life, I thought I would grab some just to see what's also on the market too, because I'm starting to make some of my own bags, which eventually I think I'll update onto my Etsy shop, which I'll post down at the bottom. So maybe in the future, maybe some of the yarns that I've been spinning up that you see in these podcasts might show up on the shop here and there. And then I'm thinking of doing a few like shop updates with bags. They're all going to be about the same size bags, but they are going to be large project bags, so you could fit a shawl project in there. You can even start fit the beginning of a sweater in there, or like some small tops, summer tops. It's about to be summertime. And then this is just like an example of the bags I might be producing. So a fun fabric at the top, duck cloth on the bottom just for durability, and then a zip, because I do like a good zipper with a handle. And then this is the bag that currently has the Sock Madness yarn project that's being put on the side right now. That's in there, but at least in here, as you can see, there is a ton of room for the socks and for skeins of yarn. And then I've got, I don't know if you can see this, 2 different pockets in here. One kind of more for fitting your pencils or needles, and then a larger pocket to hold other things. So it's very nice and roomy. Pretty much almost all the fabric except for the fleece and the zipper have been washed and ironed, so they shouldn't really shrink if you need to wash it if it gets dirty. So you would just do a cold wash on low or delicate. And then I have like little tags, and I also got some fake leather signage, or like a little patch with Spintress Station on it to put on my newer ones that I am creating currently. And so yeah, I think that is it for all my acquisitions right now. So now we're going to go into future projects. All right, so it is that time of the year where it is no longer going to be nice and cool, and it's going to start getting hot, at least in my neck of the woods. Not so much humid because I live in a desert, unless it rains, and then it is hot and humid. But so for some of my future projects that I have, some of these you've probably already seen on my list, and they're just getting shuffled around in order, but I will eventually get to them because, hey, I eventually got to Nakia's infinity scarf. But so after I finish my lovely socks from my sister, I do plan to cast on the Lake Reed hat by Asita Krebs. It is a free pattern. And I'm posting it up here on one side or the other. I'm going to use the leftover Madeline fingering light plaid blanket yarn that I had from the Nakia's infinity scarf. So that will be a hat to kind of go with it for when it's cold out. And so I already have that bundled up in a project bag. I might, if I finish this socks before my trip, I might take that on the plane to work on, because honestly, if they confiscate that, it's not the end of the world. I'd still be mad, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. I probably wouldn't fight it super hard or anything. So yeah, it's like, I feel like I can never trust the airport because you never know if they're gonna confiscate your sweater or not. So I don't want to start like a sweater with my lovely yarn from Japan or like anything that is expensive on a trip, because you never know if they're gonna take away your needles or your whole entire project, because it has happened and I've heard about it through groups at Knit Night. It's the horror stories of Knit Night. But then after the lake pattern, and completing that, then I plan to do the Benthe sweater by Natasja Hornby, and this was about 8 British pounds or so for the pattern. And this is the sweater that I am going to be using the lovely Big Little Yarn Company SuriSilk mohair and the processed wool. These two. This is what I'm going to use. For some odd reason, I always think, hey, let's do like cables. I love cables. I never do them in a sweater. But I feel like this pattern is going to be fun because your main body isn't covered in cables, but the detail of the cables is in your arms. And so I'm hoping, if I remember when I'm making this, that I'm hopefully going to cast on the sleeves 2 at a time, so that way I knit them both at the same time and I get done with them both at the same time, so I'm not stuck on sleeve idling. What else about that? I've never bought a pattern from this particular lady. So far the reviews say that her instructions are very thorough, because I don't think I've ever tried this construction method either, so it's gonna be a little scary, but hopefully I'll get through it. It's just like a very different way of building the neck and then finally joining things together and then working it down from top to bottom. So that is number 2 on my list, and of course some of these got moved around. Number 3 on my list is the slip sock by Yarnspirations Design Studio. It is also a free pattern. I think you have to go off of Ravelry to download it, but I was thinking maybe that would be a nice simple pattern with some texture, at least stitch-wise. That would be nice to go with the Colorado River yarn that I have here. I think that might be fun to do. As of course, I'm like, of course, reaching for the newest thing I've put into my stash to knit with. I know I need to go through my other stash that's in there, but we'll get there eventually. Luckily, it still fits within 3 large storage bags from IKEA, so I consider that a win. And then there is the Hermeline by Audrey Borrego. And so that is going to be a nice summer top, because I need to knit more summer tops. I knit sweaters. I like knitting sweaters, but it's hot here. I don't get why I'm a glutton for punishment. So I need to get knitting summer tops into my, repertoire. Oh, you know what I completely forgot? I do have one more acquisition, which I was mainly looking for patterns that would use up this yarn that I just got to summer top wise. So one more time, let me go grab it.
2,000 years later.
All right, another acquisition I forgot about, but I'm hoping to use in a summer top that I am going to knit soon. The Hermeline. It'll be spelled in this area. Audrey Borrego. It's going to be about $9 or so, maybe a little bit more than $9 for this pattern, so I'll buy it when I get to it. But so there is the lovely woman behind Plies and Hellhound Yarns. So that's her company. She's currently doing a folklore club, kind of similar to Mel at the Big Little Yarn Company, but hers, I think, is folklore from like all around the world. It's not just based on Japanese folklore or anything like that. So this was her first yarn for this folklore club, and it is the Indus worm, which I guess is a very large worm that lives in the Indus River, I think, in India, and sometimes comes out at night to eat whole cows and like drag them to their depths, like the depths, and kill them and eat them. And they kind of, honestly, kind of look cute. They're huge, and I would not want to actually ever encounter one. But they're kind of fun, and I really just for some odd reason loved the colorway for this worm. And so it's this fun like antique rose pink color with spots of brown and rust, and yeah, it's super pretty. I have 2 of them, so that's why I was thinking maybe a nice summer top, something easy and light with either short sleeves or no sleeves. It is a sport weight yarn, and it's a little bit of a luxury. It has 70% BFL, the blue-faced Leicestershire sheep. Got it finally. 20% silk and 10% cashmere. And sorry, this is actually, it looks to me like a sport weight yarn, but it's classified as fingering. And it's 100 grams for 438 yards. So this is all, of course, hand washed gently and everything, but I just couldn't resist these. So I have these lovely ladies, or lads. I have this lovely yarn for a top that is on my list. And then, of course, the last project that I'm hoping to get to eventually is the Holly Sweater by Rimmon, and that's about a little bit more than $7 US dollars. And that is a thicker, bulky weight sweater. I plan to rip out one of my current sweaters and use that yarn in the Holly sweater, with buying also like a contrasting yarn for the color work in that yoke. So that's when I eventually rip out that sweater, which I might take to knit night tomorrow maybe, because I have a friend there that loves ripping out projects, and so maybe I'll give her something in exchange for ripping out that sweater for me, because I have never done that before, and for some odd reason that just daunts. That's like a daunting task for me. I don't know why. But yeah, so that is it for my future projects for right now. Of course, there might always be a vanilla sock in my future, just as like a side project. I try not to have too many projects going at the same time. So yeah, so right now it's mainly just the vanilla sock. The other socks are on hold. And then, possibly starting on the sweater to get the most amount of yarn out of my stash, or doing a quick little summer top project for the hats, which I will be doing. So that is finally my update for March and a little bit into December. Holy crap, March and December. That's not how months work. March to April. So that is my update for March to kind of mid-April. And then I will hopefully see you guys next month. Kind of more of an update into May with some footage of the yarn festival that I'm gonna go to this coming at the end of this month. And I hope everybody is doing well. If you found this fun and kind of crazy and chaotic, but still want to watch more of it, please feel free to like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys are working on. I always like to hear what's going on in that world. If you see any people that you enjoy watching for podcasts and stuff, like throw them down in the comments below, because I'm always looking for more people to watch. If you want to learn more about some of these breeds and some of the rovings that I have purchased, if you go to Soulful Spinning on YouTube, she has done a winter wool study, or per se sheep breed study, and so she's covered the Merino. I believe she has also covered the blue-faced Leicestershire sheep there as well, possibly. But don't quote me on it, but just go over there if you want to learn more about sheep breeds and how they spin up and how they knit up. And she's just like a lovely person to watch while she's doing that. Check her out. And like always, I hope everybody is happy and healthy. And I will see you guys next time.